Hello, hello, hello. It is Wednesday, the 19th. We are in Genesis chapter 37 on our daily Bible study. I'm Pastor George Borghardt, joining you today from Immanuel Lutheran Church in Bossier City, Louisiana. If you are joining our Bible study for the first time, this is a joint Bible study. That means your comments are important to us. So go ahead and comment in our Facebook feed. This broadcast is then replayed on YouTube later on, but it is 2 p.m. Central on our Facebook group. How's it going? Linda, Judy, Cindy, Arlene, Mary Lynn. Gonna be a good day. Gonna be a good day. I can tell you it's gonna be a good day. And I'm very, very happy to be amongst you. I hope you are having a spectacular day. I think I said 2 p.m. Central Time. Felicity, good to see you as well. Suzanne, good to see you. Carol, Jean, all great to see you. Share a page, Genesis 37. Yay! Hi, Terry Lynn. The Lord be with you. We left Joseph, my dear buddy, and he had issues. His issue was that he was his father's favorite, and his mouth. Yeah. There's no way of getting around it. Hi, Jennifer. Good to see you. Um, it, Joseph says things he shouldn't say. So he tattles on his brothers. Now he doesn't deserve what happens to him, but there's a reason why his brothers don't like him. One, he's dad's favorite. Two, he's dad's favorite. And three, he tells everybody that he's dad's favorite. Yeah. Colonel, the Lord be with you. Now, Israel loved Joseph, verse 3, more than any of his other sons, because he was the son of his old age. And he made him a robe of many colors, or, Cheryl, good to see you, or that it's a sort of a long robe, a robe with long sleeves. There's the Latin and the Vulgate and the Syriac, which, as you see in the note, translate that a robe with long sleeves. Whether it was many colors or not, it's really, really difficult because it's just a strange Hebrew word that's not used that often. A tunic poikilon. It could be multicolored. It could be it's very, very decorative. Decorative, reaching all the way from the wrists down to the ankles, and so that's the way you should sort of view that. I think that's my take on it. Verse 4. When his brothers saw that their father loved him more than all his brothers, they hated him and could not speak peaceably with him. So no shalom for Joseph from his brothers. He's disliked. His dad's favorite. I don't like him, and I'm sitting right here now. Just kidding. Now Joseph had a dream. And when he told his brothers the dream, it added the Hebrew says they hated him. It added more to their hate. So the dream increased their hatred of him. If they didn't like him before, they really don't like him now. And the dream doesn't. He said, "Hear this that I have dreamed. Hear this dream that I have dreamed." Okay? So, hear this dream which I have dreamed. So, I dreamed, I dreamed a dream. Never mind. He had his dream, and he tells his brothers the dream, and it's going to make them love him even less. Behold, binding sheaves. This is, so you sort of want to imagine that they would tie the stalks of the plants into bundles. So they're bound sheaves in the field. And my sheave, behold, my sheave stood up and arose upright. So my sheaf stood up and arose upright, and hi Pat, the Lord be with you. And behold, your sheaves, they surrounded it, and they bowed down to it, to my sheaf. So he has this dream, and the dream is that there's a bunch of bound sheaves, and his sheaf rose amongst all the other sheaves that were surrounding it, and all the other sheaves bowed down to his sheaf. So basically his dream is that everyone's going to bow down to him. And his brothers said to him, Hamalak Temalaka. So are you like, so no, notice the repetition of the verb. So you're gonna king over us. That's what you're gonna do. You're gonna king over us. Melech is king. You're gonna reign over us. You're gonna king over us. You're gonna rule over us. Because that's what the Hebrew says. Very emphatic. So you're gonna dreaming yourself up to be our king. Is that what's going on? In this Game of Thrones, you're going to be our king. You're going to be the boss of us. Is that what's going on? Terry Lynn, is this a foreshadowing of the Christ? Joseph is an incomplete picture of Christ, his father's favorite, who sinned against and absolves. So Joseph is himself a Christ figure. He points us to Christ. Foreshadowing. I don't know. I don't know if it's foreshadowing as much as it's a big giant arrow. But Terry Lynn, I think you're on the right track. You can never go wrong looking for JC. It's true. Are you going to reign over us? Going to rule over us? So they added their hatred to him even more for the dreams and for the devar, for the words. Verse 9. And so he dreamed another dream. And he recounted it, or he told it to his brothers. And now we get what he said. Behold, I've dreamed another dream. And in this one, Once again, I've dreamed another dream. And the sun and the moon and 11 stars, 10 and 1 stars, were bowing down to me. So you remember I told you that I used to like be able to identify with all of the patriarchs, but I could not identify with Joseph because Joseph was so good. Now I see Joseph as not good. This is not helpful. All right. Terry Lynn's right. Every knee bows before Jesus, but Jesus doesn't rub it in his brother's face. Or Joseph, if you were looking at it, yeah, you didn't, yeah. I dreamed a dream. Anyway, he doesn't rub it in his brother's face, or he's so naive that he doesn't think his brothers are going to get upset, or he's just so full of himself that he doesn't get that his brothers are going to be upset. So like the sun and the moon and the 11 stars are bowing down to Joseph, and when he told his father and his brothers, his father is the one that rebukes him. So his father rebukes him and says, you know, shall I? So his father rebukes him concerning the dream and says, what is this dream of yours? Ma halakom. This dream. Tell me, what is this dream which you dream? Shall I come? Shall I and your mother, and your brothers indeed bow ourselves to the haaretz, to the ground, to you? Should we bow down to you? Now Rachel is already dead, so he's probably talking about Leah. And the answer to that is, Jacob, yes, you should. That's what's going to happen. You're kneel before Zod, but not in the way that Joseph is recounting the dream. This is not how it goes down. It's actually for their good that everything's about to happen. And it's also for Joseph's good as well. It's also for Joseph's good as well. Verse 12, verse 11. And his brothers, they were made angry with jealousy. But his father shamarred this. He guarded the words. So Israel, who is faithful, say what you want about Israel, but he is faithful. Israel guards the words. Steve, I think you're right. There's nothing wrong with the dream. The problem is Joseph recounting the dream to his brothers. And on the one hand, his father is the one who he should have told the dream to. His father, who does rebuke him, though, he does guard the dream. He's sort of, interesting. This it's like Wayne's World. This might become useful later on in the movie. So he guards Joseph's words. He guards the words. But the brothers are just jelly, as Erica put it. The brothers are just jelly. So the brothers went to the pasture, the grazing land. So they went to graze their father's flocks, and they're going to do this near Shechem. Okay, why not? Everything else is going on near Shechem. And Israel said to Joseph, look, aren't your brothers feeding, tending to, shepherding by shepherd the flocks? I'll send you. I'm going to shalak you to them. And Joseph, to his credit, says, okay, here I am. Send me. Here I am, Lord. It is I, Lord. Here you go, buddy. A treat right in the nose. Did you see that? It hit him in his nose. So he went from the valley of Hebron, and he came to Shechem. And a man found him. I need my Septuagint to have verse labels on it, and it doesn't. That's not helpful. So a man found him sort of wandering in the field and asked him, what are you seeking? What are you looking for? What do you desire? Okay. 16. And he said, I'm seeking my brothers. Tell me where there are grazing the flock. And the man said, they've gone away. For I heard them say, let us go to Dothan. So Joseph went after his brothers, and he found them at Dothan. No, I'm not afraid to use, Jaeger, I wasn't afraid to use the Septuagint. I don't know if you can see this, because you can't see the Septuagint, but for some reason the verse numbers are gone from the Septuagint. And it makes me feel more comfortable when the verses are there. I don't know what the problem is. So I don't know what's going on there. But anyway. That's better. So now there's verses, but they're not in lines. What to do? Anyway, so a stranger directs him to where they actually are at Dothan. I don't know much about his story, but the NIV text note says that Dothan is about 16 to 17 miles from Shechem. And if we were to use the handy dandy map here, we'd have to find Shechem, which is always me and maps, man. Me and maps. Not cool. There's Shechem right here. So Shechem's right here, and Dothan is right here. So if you can see my mouse. Look at this. A stereophonic multimedia extravaganza right here in your midst. 18. When they saw him far off, and before he came near to them, when he began to become near to them, they behaved cunningly. This is a Hithpael, so they were crafty or deceitful against him. So this is where they conspire against him to kill him. 19. So the brothers have had enough. You're welcome, Bobby Joe. It was good that the software had it, because The brothers have had enough, and they begin to just conspire to kill Joseph. Now, as Terry Lynn pointed out earlier, we're seeing Jesus in Joseph. So even if they're conspiring to kill Joseph, things will work out for good for them and for Joseph. Fact. And you should think this too. A bunch of evil's about to happen to Joseph. And I like that Terry Lynn has directed us to Jesus, because a bunch of evil's about to happen to Joseph, but nothing is going to happen to him apart from Jesus. And so everything that goes on in the coming chapters goes on for both Joseph's good and his family's good. So every time bad things happen to you, don't immediately assume that it's the devil that did it. Some bad things happen because we're sinners. Some bad things happen because, hi Sue. Some bad things happen because of a sinful world. And God uses both the bad that happens because of our sin and the bad that happens because of our sinful world, the devil, the world, and our sinful flesh, and uses them to save us and to save those around us. Hi, Debbie. The Lord be with you. Oh, it's always good to pick blackberries. Sue, you're fine. So they said one to another, Ane, here comes the ruler, the dreamer. Okay. Behold, here comes the dreamer. Baal is there. So I think that there is a hint of, here comes that ruling dreamer, or the guy that rules in his dreams. You could tell they're not a big fan of Joseph. Come now. Let us kill him and shall lock him into one of the pits. Not cool. Not cool. There's the text, Cindy. I got back to it before. So let's kill him, and let's throw him, or toss him. Or, so it's a hifpael, which means it's like, shalak can mean to investigate. It also means to throw. And so let's throw him. Let's cause to throw. Let's toss him into the pits. Well, let me just tell you, from Joseph's perspective, this plan is the pits. And then we will then the evil that has we'll say that evil things, hurtful things, ferocious things ate him, and then he will understand what has then we'll see what has become of his dreams. So look, let's throw him into the pits, and some evil animal will have devoured him. That's what we'll say. And but we'll know, we'll see, we'll understand all the good that's come from his dreams. Now, Reuben. Reuben isn't cool with this. Reuben is the oldest son. Now, Reuben has done some bad things. But really, as a big brother, it's Reuben's job to take care of Joseph. And so when Reuben hears it, when he shamars this, he attempts to deliver him out of their yadas, their hands, by saying, "Look, let's not take his life. Let's not take his nafesh. Let's that not this way. Not this way." And he said to them, Reuben said to them, don't pour out his blood. And this word is used to like offering. So don't offer up him to a sacrifice to his lust for power, or his don't offer him up to his sin. His dreams. Don't shed his blood, though. Don't offer up his blood. Don't pour out his blood onto the ground. Instead, you can shalak him. So you can throw him into the pits here in the wilderness. But don't lay a hand on him. Don't lay a hand on him. Don't lay a hand on him. And his plan was to sort of to deliver him from their hands in order to shuv, to return to his father. The idea here is remember, Reuben has lost his birthright. He did something. He was bad. He slept with someone he shouldn't have, someone who belonged to his dad. And so his plan is to swing back and get Joseph from the well and bring him back to dad, so he can get favor back with dad, so he can dig himself out of the pit. You see what I did there, Thor? To dig himself out of the pit that he's made for himself. (23) So when Joseph came to his brothers, when Joseph came to his brothers, they stripped him of the long-armed robe that he wore. I do not understand how Thor responds while sleeping. Must have a phone under there. So, I would just... And they took him, and they threw him into the pit, and the pit was empty, and there's no water in it. Which is good, because he would have drowned. And the story's going to take a break here. But from them. Their plan is throw him in the pit, leave him for dad, animals, elements, starving, you're not getting out of the pit. And the pit's empty. There's no water in it. So, and there are wells without water in the ancient world. That would happen all the time. You'd dig a well, you'd use the well would dry up, you'd dig another one. We still do that today. 25. they sat down in order to eat. And they looked up, and there was that's a caravan of Ishmaelites. It's just a pit stop for Joseph. Nicely done, Jacoby. There was a caravan of Ishmaelites coming from Gilead, and their camels, with their camels, they were carrying that's resin and balm and myrrh. On their way, carrying it to Mitzrayim, which is Egypt. This isn't an accident. This isn't perchance. There are no accidents in this world. There are only gifts. The sooner that you stop thinking that you're at the whim of chance and luck, the sooner that you will find comfort in this world that no one can take from you. These Ishmaelites do not just happen to be passing by at this time. No, this is the Lord's plan. Just as God was kind to Ishmael, he had this in mind. All right? Well, do they not have free will? Are we just robots? No, we're not. But God knows what's going to happen, and he rigs the thing up for maximum gift for us. Maximum gift. And Joseph is in that well, and it's not an accident that these traders, these traders come by. There's no accidents. When I was younger, I was coming back from looking at my first call. I had gotten a call to Texas to be an associate, and we went down to visit over Easter. And we were driving back, and we drove most of the way back, but we decided to stop because we were tired. And I made comments, not so helpful comments to Joseph-like comments, that Amy had gotten into wrecks before, and I hadn't. And although I'm not a good driver, I had not gotten into any wrecks before. So I mouthed off about how I had not gotten into any wrecks, and I must be the best driver here. Well, what followed is that I ended up getting into an accident on the way back. A car was going it was going too fast. So I went to go and pass a car, and when I looked in my mirrors, there was a car way off in the distance, but that car was going extraordinarily fast. And I didn't realize it. And so when I went to change lanes, that car was already there. And so I swung back into my lane, but the force of my swinging back into the lane spun my vehicle around this car, through the median, through the oncoming traffic on the other side of the interstate. And then I crashed gently into a rock embankment. Fractured a vertebrae. Now, I didn't know that I had fractured a vertebrae. I just thought that the wind was knocked out of me. So I opened the door of my car after sort of Amy, checked the baby. Is the baby okay? I asked if she was okay. And Thomas was in her womb. And so I asked if are you okay? Is the baby okay? Is the baby okay? And everybody was okay. And so I decided to get out. And when I got out, I fell down. Because I had a fractured vertebrae. I could not put weight on it. And so, which was great because I couldn't, once it was determined that I had it, I could not participate in the move. I couldn't box up anything. I could only lay on the couch while everybody else moved me to Texas. Wasn't that great? But, so I fell over onto the ground, and like rednecks were stopping because, this is rural. That's not a very helpful term. So, Southerners like me, who had been in the sun for a long time, especially with shirts on, so their necks were red. So they stopped and they're like, Did you see what just happened? Did you see that? How on earth did you avoid all those cars? Oh my goodness, I wish I'd gotten that on film. That was ridiculous. And they're all stopping with deep, deep Southern accents like, dude, did you see what you do? Did you see what happened? And in the midst of all of this, no, I was in Missouri. I was in southern Missouri, Joe. And then in the midst of all of this, an ambulance was driving back from the hospital to it from another call that had turned out not necessary. And it comes upon our accident and just happens to stop. And so the police were never called for my escapades driving. But I'm sure Sikeston, Missouri has some myths about the guy who dodged a bunch of cars, oncoming traffic and the like. And when the ambulance was, when they was like, there's an ambulance here, my response was, it's like there's a God. Because it was like there was a God. And so, like, you should think of the catastrophes in your life the same way. The ambulance isn't accidental. The guys are not there accidentally. The ambulance stopped because they saw the commotion caused by the people who stopped, who were marveling at my impressive dodging. I had no control over the vehicle, over all the cars that were in both oncoming and my side traffic. There is no accidents in this world. And so there isn't an accident that Joseph has placed in the will. Reuben's intent is not to sell him into slavery, it's to save him. But God uses Reuben's intent. God uses the evil of the brothers. God uses all of that to save all of them. This is why I love Joseph. Not because I particularly like Joseph, but because Joseph shows you faith. Joseph's life is a living example for others of Jesus. His kindness, his mercy. And this is where Terry Lynn was right on. You cannot read Joseph and not believe that there's a God who rescues you. You cannot read this. And you should be yourself certain that God loves you more than he loves Joseph. That if he does this for Joseph, he does this for you. That nothing happens. The red light that you catch that you get mad at God for, like, I'm in a hurry and I've caught this red light. You do not know whether God has rescued you from an accident. You just don't. The only way for you to know for certain is on the last day, ask him, that red light? He might say, that was just a red light. I was trying to teach you patience. But he might say, you have no idea what kind of accident you've gotten into if that light would have been green. Better you be late than dead. Let's sell him. What the boys say, Judah, the promise. Judah's the promise. Judah is he's the daddy of the promise. Oh my gosh, he's the promise. And the best plan he has is, what profit does it if we kill our brother and conceal his blood? How does that help us? Felicity story. Most excellent. You never know whether the people who help you on the side of the road are angels. But sometimes they're creepy. So you have to sort of discern the spirits. But here, I don't know whether Judah is trying to save Joseph in his own way, or Judah is just doesn't like Joseph. I don't know. My guess is, I'm going to put the best construction on. He's trying to save his brother. And Judah isn't a great character, as we're going to learn in chapter 38. Judah is himself a bad dude as well. Or, not a bad dude, human. So Judah said to his brothers, what profit is it if we kill our brother and hide his blood? Come, let's sell him to the Ishmaelites. Let's not let our hand be upon him, for he is our brother, our own flesh. And his brothers listened to him. So Judah saves his brother. The Midian traders the Concordia study note says the Midians were desert-dwelling descendants of Abraham through his wife Keturah. The relation here with the Ishmaelites is unclear. Perhaps the Midians and the Ishmaelites intermingled, or they were both Midians and Ishmaelite traders in the group and to which Joseph was sold. I tend to believe that these two terms are interchangeable, which they make a point to say. So the Midian's traders passed by. They drew Joseph and lifted him up out of the pit and sold him to the Ishmaelites for 20 shekels of silver. Terry Lynn pointed us to someone being sold for 30 shekels of silver. That was the cost of the slave in Jesus' day. 20 is the cost of the slave today. Inflation. They took Joseph to Egypt, which is exactly where God wanted him. God wants Joseph in Mitzrayim. That's where God wants him. Reuben returned to the pit and saw Joseph was not in the pit. And he tore his clothes. He tore his clothes because what now? That was his way back into his dad's graces, but also he might love the boy. And he said to his brothers, he returned to his brothers and said, the boy is gone. And I, where shall I go? The boy is gone, and where should I go? I can't get back into my dad's good graces without Joseph. My plan to get back into dad's good graces is over with. What should I do now? And they took Joseph's robe, his tunic, slaughtered a goat, dipped the robe in the blood. Think about this. So Jesus is sold into slavery, and by his blood-washed robes, your robes washed clean in the blood of the Lamb, by this you are made righteous. By blood-washed, dipped robes, Joseph is shown to be dead, his father deceived. Don't miss this. There are too many similarities between Joseph and Jesus. But Joseph's is incomplete. Joseph is an arrow that points to Jesus. A big giant arrow. Sold into slavery. Out of Egypt I've called my son. A dipped blood robe. They sent the robe with long sleeves, or the robe of many colors, and brought it to their father and said, this is what we found. Let us know whether this tunic is your son's or not. And recognizing it, he said, this tunic belongs to my son. A ferocious thing, an evil thing, has eaten him. And Joseph has certainly been torn into pieces. Repetition of the verb. So without doubt, Joseph's been torn into pieces. And so Sherlock CSI work of Jacob is that his son is dead. And now Jacob tears his robes. And he put on sackcloth on his loins, and he mourned his son for many days. And his sons and all his daughters rose up to comfort him, but he refused to be comforted, saying, "No. I shall go down to Sheol to my son. I shall go down to the place of the dead mourning. I'm going to go down to Sheol. I'm going to spend the rest of my life sad. And I'm not going to stop being sad because my son is dead. I'm going to go down to the place of the dead, and I'm going to mourn there." And thus his father wept for him. But meanwhile, the Midianites had sold Joseph in Egypt to Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh, the captain of the guard. So the story continues, but we're going to have a respite from it tomorrow. Now, tomorrow is a PG-13 Bible study, and so bring your sensors, because it's awful. What happens tomorrow is awful. It's awful. But it's in the genealogy of Jesus. Today, we lose Joseph. Okay? Today, Joseph is sold into slavery for 20 shekels. His blood-stained robes, the identifier that he is dead. His father in mourning. His brothers happy. Reuben sad. Judah saves him, kind of. And so ends chapter 37. I would invite you to go to store.higherthings.org and support the work of the greatest youth organization on the planet, Higher Things. There are cups, there are mugs, there are shirts, there are all sorts of things in which you too can dare to be Lutheran. And if you love what we're doing and want to support us in this, you love this Bible study, support.higherthings.org, give, or store.higherthings.org, purchase merch. Either way, you'll be helping the greatest youth organization on the planet continue to bring the gospel and put that gospel in the ears of our church's youth. Have a great day. I'm Pastor George Borghardt. I will see you tomorrow with maybe an awake dog. I don't know. I just don't know. Have a great day. See you tomorrow.